Vaha Mahadri, the Shabbos, Sugya of Hanukkah. We're about a third of the way down. We're going to pick up again from where we learned last, Monday. We'll look at the Sugya again. We did a quick reading through it. Tana Rabbana, Mitzvah Chanuka Ner Ishu Beisai. The mitzvah of Hadlakas Neras Chanuka is a Ner Ish Ubeisai. One candle for a man and his entire household. We take a look in Rashi, Ner Ish Ubeisai. Rashi says, Ner Echad B'chol Laila, one candle every night. V'ish B'chol B'nei Beisai, a man and his entire family. Sagilahu B'ner Echad. That's it. One is enough. So at this level of the mitzvah, one candle night one for the whole mishpocha, wife, children, 10 people in the house. One. Now we're not talking, that'll be a whole separate sugya. We are not talking about if you have guests at home. We're talking about wife and children who are samuch al shulchancha, children who rely upon you to support them. Self-sufficient children, they're married, different question. We're not talking about guests, they're spending a night with you. How do they light in your house? We're going to get to that, not today, but that'll be part of the sugya. Here we're talking about ner ishu basic. Basic, how do you do the hadlakas ner Chanukah? One candle night one candle night 5, one candle night 8. Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech olam asher kishem mitzvos v'tzionu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah, not lahadlik neirot shel Chanukah. So even on the 8th night, we don't say lahadlik neirot Chanukah. We say lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. It's a ner. That's the ikka mitzvah. Okay. Once we're finished with that basic ikka mitzvah, we now go to the next level. Vaha Mahadri. You want to be mahader. Mahader comes from the word hidur. You want to beautify the mitzvah. Ner l'chol echad ve'echad. You're going to have a candle for every single person in the house. So it's a tata and a mama and 2 children. 4 people in the house. On night 1, you're going to light 4. On night 4, you're going to light 4. On night 6, you're going to light 4. And on night 8, you're going to light 4. So, at this first level of Mahadrim, what happened? It looks like we're going up a totem pole. The basic mitzvah is 1 candle for the whole household. The next level is to beautify the mitzvah, and we're going to light 1 candle for each member of the household every night. So now if we learn the Gemara this way, Vaha Mahadri min Mahadrin, beautify it and beautify it, so to speak. What do you do now? So Beis Shammai omim yom rishon madlik shmona, mikan ve'elech poches v'holech. Beis Shammai says on the first night you light 8, and then you go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beis Hillel omim yom rishon madlik achas, mikan ve'elech mosef v'holech. Beis Hillel says on the first night you light 1, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Of course, we pass like Beis Hillel. Before, as we learned on Monday, before we even go into what are Beis Hillel and Beis Shammai arguing about, Beis Shammai says it's better to go 8, 7, and Beis Hillel holds it's better to go 1, 2. Before we get into the logic behind the machlekes, where does level 3 fit in? Is level 3 built on level 2? Or is level 3 some kind of new independent mitzvah? Meaning, level 1 is the most basic mitzvah, 1 candle every night. Level number 2 is ner l'chol echad ve'echad. Meaning, the first level is Papa is going to light 1 candle every night. one candle night 1, one candle night 4, one candle night 8. Mahadri, you want to do the mitzvah beautiful. What are you going to do? Papa is going to light 4 candles night 1. Papa plus a wife and 2 children. He's going to light 4 candles night 1, 4 candles light 2, 4 candles light 6, 4 candles light night 8. Level 2. We keep on, at this point, only talking about Papa. And we keep on only talking about one Chanukiah. According to the first level, there's only one Chanukiah, just one candlestick, and every night you light one. According to the beautifying the mitzvah, you're now going to have 4 candlesticks, and every night Papa's going to light all 4. Level 3, Papa has 1 Chanukiah, but now instead of just lighting 1 or lighting 4 every night, he's going to light 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or he's going to light 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But we still have 1 Chanukiah, and Papa is the only one that's lighting. That's the way it seems right now. And the way it works is Papa at the basic mitzvah lights 1 candle every night for everyone. At level 2, Papa lights 4 candles every night representing the family. At level 3 is the most beautiful mitzvah, Mahadri min Mahadrin. Papa's lighting 1 menorah. Good morning, Baruch. Papa's lighting 1 menorah, and it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That would seem to be the literal explanation to the Gemara. It's building level 1, level 2, level 3, but it's all 1 Chanukiah. Level 1, the Chanukiah has only 1 candle every night. Level 2, the Chanukiah has 4 candles every night if there's a wife and 2 kids. And level 3, there's 1 Chanukiah, and it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. According to this interpretation of the Gemara, there is no such thing as a Chanukiah for every single person in the house. What's the problem with having a Chanukiah for every single person in the house? Because imagine if you have it's a husband and wife with 2 children. So they light 4 candles. Okay, so on level 2. On level 3, let's say it's the 8th night of Hanukkah. So if there's only 1 menorah in the window, the people that walk by, what do they see? 8 candles. And what do they understand that to mean? The celebration of the 8th night of Hanukkah. Remember, all this is about Parsumei Nisa. The mitzvah of Adlokas Ner Hanukkah is to publicize the miracle. That's the Ikka mitzvah. If the mitzvah is done in such a way where there's no Parsumei Nisa, there's a problem with the mitzvah. We learned about that in Tosfos on Monday, I believe. When it became dangerous to light outside, they lit inside, but they brought their family together to publicize the miracle. So now let's make believe it's the 8th night of Hanukkah. So if there's 1 Chanukiah in the window, people are walking by, they say, it's the 8th night of Hanukkah, there are 8 candles. But what happens if there's 32 candles in the window? A person walking by doesn't know what's going on. Maybe it's the 8th night of Hanukkah, and there are 4 people in the house, and 8 times 4 is 32. That's why there are 32 candles in the window. Or maybe, Baruch Hashem, this is a big house with a lot of children and a lot of guests, and there's 32 people in the house. If there's 32 people in the house, you don't know it's the 8th night of Hanukkah. There's 32 people in the house, how many candles would you light on the 4th night of Hanukkah? 32. If there are 32 people in the house, how many candles do you light the 3rd night of Hanukkah? 32. If there are 32 people in the house, how many candles do you light the 6th night of Hanukkah? 32. So if you take an example, it's the 8th night of Hanukkah, there are 32 candles in the window. Person walking by, there's a problem with the Parsumei Nisa. What night of Hanukkah is it? Maybe it's the 8th night of Hanukkah, and there are 4 people in the house, and they're lighting 8 times 4 is 32. Or maybe it's 32 people in the house, and each one has a candle there. So what night of Hanukkah is it? So Tosfos says that Tosfos Vaha Mahadri min Mahadri, the highest level where you go 8, 7, 6 according to Beis Shammai, or 1, 2, 3, 4 according to Beis Hillel, Nirla. It appears to the read, to one of the Bali Tosfos, that Beis Shammai u Beis Hillel, these 2 opinions of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai 8, 7, 6, Beis Hillel 1, 2, 3, lo kaimi ela aner ish ubeisai. It is not going on top of level 2. It is only being built on level 1. On level 1, where you said you're going to light only 1 candle for everybody, for the whole household, skip level 2, and level 3 says you can light 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shekain yesh yoseh hidur the ikeh, because at level number 3 you are really beautifying the mitzvah. The ikeh. What does hekera mean? Heker, ani makir. People walking by can recognize what night Hanukkah is if there's only 1 Chanuka on the 8th night, and there are 8 candles. People know it's the 8th night of Hanukkah. If you go up or down, people can look at the window and know what night Hanukkah. But if you're in a household that you're lighting 1 candle for each person, level 2, 4 on night 2, 4 on night 5, 4 on night 6, if you're going to do level 3 to add a candle for each night, then nobody knows what's going on. There is no hekera. Sheyizbru, people will think shekach yesh bnei adam babayis. People think that's how many people are in the house. People will not know why you have 32 candles in the window. 32 candles in the window can mean there are 32 people in the house. And what night of Hanukkah is it? I have no idea. It could be the 3rd night Hanukkah. It could be the 4th night Hanukkah. If a person has 32 people in his house every single night, he has a family with parents and grandparents and children and uncles and aunts, and let's say he's lighting for everybody. How many candles does he light on night 1? 32. How many candles does he light on night 4? 32. How many candles does he light on night 8? 32. You walk by the house, you see 32. You don't know what night it is, but you know that there are 32 people in the house and that he's lighting their Hanukkah. Remember, here's the point. When the Gemara talks about Mahadri, make the mitzvah beautiful, what is the Gemara talking about? The Gemara is talking about, why don't you add more candles? The more candles you have in the window, the more beautiful it looks. The whole mitzvah is what? Pasumei Nisa, to publicize the miracle. To the greater extent that you publicize the miracle, that's the beauty of the mitzvah. If you just throw candles in the window and nobody knows what you're doing, you have a lot of candles in your window, but that doesn't make the mitzvah more beautiful because nobody knows what you're doing, and the whole purpose of the mitzvah is pasumei nisa. So when we talk about beautifying the mitzvah of Hanukkah, we're talking about, is there a way to make it more pasumei nisa? How do you make it more pasumei nisa? People walk by, step 1, they see that this is a household that lights Hanukkah. At that level, you can light only 1 every night. You have 1 candle outside your doorway, and people walk by, they say, this is a house that lights Hanukkah candles. And it reminds them, oh, it's Hanukkah, the miracle of Hanukkah. You can do that with 1 candle, and you did the mitzvah, pasumei nisa. Level 2, I want to be mefarsim the mitzvah in such a way that everyone in my household celebrates the miracle. So for every person in the household, we're going to put up a candle. 4 night 1, 4 night 5, 4 night 6, 4 night 8. More Pirsum Nisa. Now I want to even more beautify the mitzvah. I want people to walk by and not only see and remember that it's Hanukkah and that there was a miracle. I want them to see how many miracles happened tonight. So Beis Hillel says the best way to do that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Beis Shammai says 8, 7. Let's leave now Beis Shammai out of this. Beis Hillel says you want to really, really beautify the mitzvah and publicize Hanukkah. Don't just put one candle in the outside your door, and don't put 4 candles there every night for the people that are in your house. Do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's the most beautiful Parsume Nissa in the world. People walk by and now know not only is it Hanukkah, but they know what night Hanukkah, and they know how many miracles happen. On the 8th night of Hanukkah, there are 8 candles. Oh, this is the 8th miracle of Hanukkah. So when we talk about beautifying the mitzvah, we're talking about increasing the Parsume Nissa. So Tosfos uses the word Hakera. How recognizable is Hanukkah from what you're doing? So Tosfos says, if you have 4 people in your house, and every night you light 32 candles as an example, so on the 8th night of Hanukkah, you can also light 32. Fine. But let's not take 32. Let's go back to the case you have 4 people in your house. You have 4 people in your house, and every night you light 4 candles. Fine. Everybody walks by your place, and they see 4 candles, 4 candles, 4 candles. They understand that this is a house with 4 people. But if you're going to increase the number of candles every day, and also every person in the house is going to get a candle, meaning level 3 is built on level 2, on the 8th night of Hanukkah, this is a problem on any night, but on the 8th night of Hanukkah, there are 32 candles outside your house. Somebody walks by and says, it's very nice. I don't know what night Hanukkah is, but there are 32 people in this person's house. Or you can only have 1 Chanuka with 8 candles in it, and the person knows it's the 8th night of Hanukkah. Which is a bigger Parsume Nissa? To have 32 candles on the 8th night and nobody knows whether it's 32 people in the house or 4 people in the house that are lighting the 8th night, or 1 Chanukiah where a person walks by and says, it's the 8th night of Hanukkah. Obviously, according to a Tosfos law in the Gemara, the 3rd way is the best way. The 3rd way is 1 Chanukiah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay.
That means that
is, in fact, the minig the Rambam brings down. The Rambam brings down the idea that everybody can light their own Chanukiah. I forgot to scan the Rambam and send it to you, but I'll read the Rambam. The Rambam is in Perek Dal of Hilchos Chanuka. The Rambam says, Kama neiros hu matlik b'Chanuka. How many candles do you light on Chanuka? Mitzvasa shiyeh kol bayis ubayis madlik ner echad ben shehoyu anshe abayis merubim ben shlo boy ela adam echad. The mitzvah is 1 candle every night, no matter how many people are in the house. That's what the Gemara said. That's the basic mitzvah. 1 candle. We don't care how many people are in the house, and we don't even care what night of Hanukkah it is. The 1st night 1, the 3rd night 1, the 8th night 1. That's the basic mitzvah. Once you do that, you yoitza. Now, this is going to have a lot of ramifications. For example, you set up your Chanukiah. You make a bracha. You light the 1st candle. Does everybody know what just happened now? You basically finished the mitzvah of Hadlakas Ner Hanukkah with the 1st candle you lit, because that is the mitzvah. The rest of the candles you light are a hidur. It's just to bring about a beauty to the mitzvah. That's going to have a tremendous amount of halachic ramifications in all kinds of situations. The first candle you light each night, it's the 8th night of Hanukkah, you lit the first candle. You've done the mitzvah. The next 7 candles are what? Hidur, to beautify the mitzvah. But it's not the Ikka mitzvah, and again, this will have a lot of ramifications in halacha. So the first thing the Rambam says is the Ikka mitzvah, 1 candle every night for everyone. Vaha Mahadri ha-mitzvah madlik neiros kaminin anshe habayis ner l'chol echad ve'echad bein anoshim bein anoshim. If someone wants to beautify the mitzvah, he adds a candle for each person in the house, men and women, and he lights it. So if you have a wife, a husband, 2 children, 4 candles night 1, 4 candles night 6, 4 candles night 8. Level 2. Vaha Mahadri yoisa. Now listen carefully to the Rambam. Someone that wants to beautify the mitzvah, even more. Mitzvah min ha-mufcha, and you want to do a mitzvah min ha-mufcha, a chosen mitzvah. Madlik ner l'chol echad b'layla harishon. You light 1 candle for each person every night. U'moisif v'hoylech b'chol layla v'layla ner echad. And every night you add a candle for every single person. So if there are 4 people in the house, on night 1, you light 4. On night 2, you light 8. On night 3, you light 12. On night 8, you light 32. This is exactly minig Ashkenaz. This is the first way the Rambam brings it down. And the Rambam now explains it. Ketzad, how does this work? Let's say the husband, wife, the children, everyone that lives in the house are 10 people. The first night you light 10. The second night you light 20. The third night you light 30. Until there are 80 candles lit on the 8th night. So you have 10 people in the house. Every night you're adding a candle for each night. So on the 8th night, you're going to have 80 candles. That's really the way Ashkenaz does it. The Rambam now writes, Gimel, Halacha Gimel. Minik Pashit, notwithstanding the fact that this appears to the Rambam how to explain the Gemara, not like Tosfos. Tosfos said that level 3 does not build on level 2. And therefore you only have 1 Chanukiah of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Rambam says, no, what the Gemara means is level 2 builds on level 1 and level 3 builds on level 2. And therefore, on the 8th night of Hanukkah, if there are 10 people in your house, you don't light 8, you light 80. Tosfos does, the Rambam doesn't learn like Tosfos. But now the Rambam says, even though that's what it appears the Gemara to mean, there's a minig that's completely different in Sfard. Minig Poshit b'chol areinu b'Sfard. It's the simple minig in all the cities in Sfard. Sheyum kol anshe habayis madlikin ner echad b'layla harishon u'moisifin v'holchin ner b'chol layla ad shenimtzak b'leil shmini shmoin neres bein shayu anshe habayis merubim bein shahoya adam echad. The minig in Sfarad is no matter how many people you have in the house, if you want to do the highest level mitzvah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On the 8th night, there are only 8 candles at your door, not the 80 I spoke about earlier. And the Nosei Kalim talk about this. First, the Rambam says that the 8th night, the best mitzvah is 80, which is what we do. And then the Rambam suddenly says, even though that's what the Gemara appears to mean, our minig is different. Okay. So the minig is based upon the fact that there is a machlokes how to learn the Gemara. We saw that in Tosfos. And therefore, the minig became in Sfard, and that's the minig for most Sephardi Jews. You have to have a household, wife with children. They light 1 Chanukiah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and everyone is Yotzei with that Chanukiah. That's the minig Pashit for Bnei Sfard. Ashkenaz doesn't do that. Ashkenaz, we have we build level 3 on level 2, and therefore on the 8th night we would have 80, not just 8. But here's the twist that happened. We became real fancy people. We became fancy people quite a long time ago. What do I mean by fancy people? The Gemara is going to have a discussion later. What happens if it's Friday night Hanukkah and you only possess enough money to buy one candle? Do you give that candle to your wife and she makes a bracha lahadlik ner shel Shabbos? Or do you take that candle and light it for Hanukkah and make a bracha lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah? And we know that the halachas are very different, because if you light one candle and you're allowed to put it, if you light it as the Shabbos candle, you can put it on your dinner table in those days when there's no electricity. You would take that one candle, put it on the dinner table, and you would be able to eat your Shabbos night meal using that candle. But if you lit that candle, lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah, haneres halol kodeshem, ve'ein lanu reshus lehishtamesh behem, you can't eat by that candle. The Gemara has this question, and it has it in other places about other mitzvahs. The Gemara is not in an ivory intellectual tower. These were real shilas that came up. I only have enough money, nebuch, to buy one candle this Shabbos. Is it a Shabbos candle? Is it a Hanukkah candle? This is an environment that we don't understand. We became fancy people. I don't know anybody, nor have I seen anybody ever light only one candle every night because they don't have more money. Nor have I really seen, except Sfard has that minute, I've not seen an Ashkenazi family that lights Hanukkah candles by lighting one for each person. There are 4 people in the house. I can only afford 4, and every night I do 4. I've not seen that either. What do we all see? Windows full of Chanukiot. The outside to apartment buildings filled with glass boxes and Chanukiot. And each Chanukiah is filled with 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever night it is. Baruch Hashem, plenty of oil, plenty of wicks, plenty of wax. We don't deal with these problems. Baruch Hashem. As a result of that, everybody has a Chanukiah, a silver one, a gold one, a brass one, the fancy ceramic ones, whatever it is. We no longer really have the problem that Tosfos was worried about. Tosfos was worried about a person has a wife and 2 children, 4 people. On the 8th night of Hanukkah, he puts 32 candles at his doorway. The person that walks by does not know what the Parsume Nisa here is in this place. Either there are 32 people in this apartment, or are there 4 people in the apartment and each of them is lighting 8 candles because of Mahadrim and a Mahadrim. But Bisman Hazeh, everybody has a separate Chanukiah. It's not that you just take candles and put it in a box, in a glass box, and put 32 candles in there, and we don't know if it's 32 people in the house, if it's the 8th night Hanukkah. We don't know anything about what's going on, so we don't have a Parsumei Nisa. But today, since we're so, Baruch Hashem, well off in comparatively to what we were talking about in the time of the Gemara, everybody's got a Chanukiah. So the Tosfos question of no one's going to know what night it is. There's no problem here. This Chanukiah has 6, this Chanukiah has 6, this Chanukiah has 6, and this Chanukiah has 6. Nobody's going to say that the 4 Chanukiahs together have 24 candles, and maybe there are 24 people in the house. If there were 24 people in the house, it wouldn't be 6 separate Chanukiahs, 4 separate Chanukiahs. So today, this problem is not really relevant with which each Chanukiah. So in Minik Ashkenaz, we in fact we do the mitzvah Mahadri min ha-Mahadri, beautiful on top of beautiful. What does beautiful on top of beautiful mean? I'm going to light a candle for each night so that I know tonight is night 1 miracle, tonight is night 2 miracle. And not only will I light each night another candle to commemorate an additional miracle, every member of my household is permitted to light a separate Chanuka. And that's how B'nai Ashkenaz paskin. So therefore, we all let our children light. Some of us allow our wives to light. Some of us allow our daughters to light. That's a whole different sugya. However, we do let multiple menorahs being lit because it doesn't present the Taisus problem. If you didn't have a separate Chanukiyas for everyone, and you were going to just take a box, one of those glass boxes, and put it outside the house, and just line up candles in there, then nobody would know what's going on in your house. On the first night, you light 6 candles. On the 6th night, you light 6 candles. Nobody knows what's going on. Are there 6 people? Is it the 6th night? Nobody knows what's going on. But since we don't do that, we put separate Chanukiyas in, it's really not a problem. Okay, so that's the way we learn the Sugya. Level 1, 1 Hanukkah candle for everybody. And the fact that we light more doesn't mean that we just neglect this first shita. This first sheet is going to have a lot of halachic ramifications. Lahatlik ner shel Hanukkah, I light that first candle. I did the whole mitzvah. What's still left to do? Hidur. That's all I'm left is with Hidur. But the mitzvah I did at number 1. Okay. Level 2, a candle for each person, no matter what night it is. We don't increase. Level 3, the way the B'nai Ashkenaz do it, a candle is added every night, and each person is allowed to light a separate Chanukia. Okay. It's important to point out there's a mimer. I don't know if we'll get to it before Hanukkah. There's a mimer of Pachad Yitzchak about this whole Mahadri, and there's a lot of sforim that talk about it. When we go to buy meat, we today talk about Mahadri. Sometimes they say glat. Say it's Mahadri, or we say it's Mahadri min Mahadri. When we want to say Mahadr means literally hidur, means it's beautiful. Hadar kevoid hoidecha, beautiful. Lakachtem lachem pre-eitz hodor, an esrik, a pre-eitz hodor. When we want to talk about a good shechita, we say it's mahadrim. What does mahadrim mean? It's a beautiful shechita. They keep the slaughterhouse clean. What does mahadrim mean? So we don't say the word it's a shechita l'chumra or it's a shechita mitzuyan. We say shechita mahadrim, wherever that name came from. But the word mahadrim means beautiful. This idea that a mitzvah is done and then you can have different levels to beautify it is something unusually significant to Hanukkah. We don't have really a sugya of by tzitzis. The Gemara doesn't say, how do you wear tzitzis? This is how you wear tzitzis. And then the Gemara says, if you want to do it even nicer, this is how you make your tzitzis. And if you want to do it even nicer than that, this is how you make your tzitzis. Of course, there's something called a hidur mitzvah, to beautify a mitzvah. Ze keli va'anvehu. But we don't really have a sugya where the Gemara goes in this type of step-by-step way and says, you know what, if you do this, you did the mitzvah. But if you want to make it more beautiful, this is what to do. You want to make it more beautiful, this is what to do. It sounds like this whole idea of beautifying the mitzvah is something that is intrinsic to Hanukkah. Of course, by esrog, we say we want to buy a beautiful esrog. Pre-Eitz Hoda. Want to buy a pre-Eitz Hoda, either because of Hoda, Zakeli Van Veyu, and we want to do all our mitzvahs beautifully. But this idea that there's a Sugya in the Gemara, level 1, level 2 Mahadrin, level 3 Mahadrin, Mina Mahadrin, seems to be unique to Hanukkah, which means that Hanukkah has inside it this idea of beauty, lahader. And we'll talk about that, B'li Neder. That's something that appears to be unique to the mitzvah of Ner Hanukkah. Okay, let's read a few more lines. So Gemara says, Pligi ba b'ma'arova. There is Pligi ba trei amaroi b'ma'arova. Ma'arova, as we know, is west. For those Jews who lived in Bavel, they refer to Eretz Yisrael as Ma'arova. There's a yeshiva here in Eretz Yisrael called Ma'arova. That's how the Babylonian scholars referred to Eretz Yisrael, that place to the west, Ma'arova. So there's a machlokas between two Amoraim in Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yossi bar Oven, Rabbi Yossi bar Zavida. Rabbi Yossi bar Oven, Rabbi Yossi bar Zavida, two Amoraim who lived in Eretz Yisrael, they disagreed about what the logic is behind Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai says 8, 7, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. And Beis Hillel says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What's the logic there? Chad Omar, one of these Amoraim said, Time of the Beis Shammai. The reason for Beis Shammai Shita is that you go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Keneged Yomim Hanechnosim. Beis Shammai says, I want you to look at how many days are yet coming. Rashi says, Keneged Yomim Hanechnosim Hasidim Lovo. How many more days of Hanukkah are there? So, in other words, again, why are we lighting? Parsume Nisa. That I can't emphasize that enough. This is a mitzvah of Parsume Nisa. So Beis Shammai says, on the first night, I want you to light to commemorate. Rashi says, Keneged Yomim Hanechnosim Hasidim Lavu. How many days are still in the future? In other words, I want to tell the whole world on the first night of Hanukkah, God is going to perform 8 miracles for me over the next 8 days. So on the first night, I'm already looking into the future because I already know, historically, I know that 8 miracles happen. So I want to commemorate already on the first night my knowledge and publicize to the world the knowledge that I have, that God is going to do 8 miracles for me. I already know that on the first night. How many more miracles are coming? There are 8 miracles. First night plus 7 more. That's the first understanding in Beis Shammai.
Someone's has
to. And Beis Hillel says, no, the opposite. The way you commemorate the miracle of Hanukkah, the Parsume Nisa, is to light according to how many days the miracle actually happened. It's as if Beis Hillel is saying, let's live Hanukkah today. What happened on the first night? We now know that there was someone is not muted. That's what Eliezer is saying. I don't hear anything, but everybody please mute.
Okay.
Beis Hillel is saying the first night of Hanukkah. How many miracles? 1. The second night of Hanukkah. You can't hear me?
I hear you, but someone's talking.
Okay, someone has to mute, please. We're getting some people saying that they can hear other people.
Okay,
And Beis Hillel says you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 because it's Keneged Yomim Hanechnosim. How many more days? Keneged Yomim Hayotzim. How many miracles happen? one miracle happened, two miracle happened. On the eighth night, 8 miracles happened. So this is the two ways to look at it. Beis Shammai says, on the first night, how many miracles do I know are going to happen? 8. Commemorate 8. On the last night of Hanukkah, how many miracles are left? 1. So it's 8, 7, 6, 5, 3, 2, 1. Beis Hillel says that's not the way to commemorate Hanukkah. The first night it's 1 miracle, 1. The fourth night it's 4 miracles, 4. The eighth night it's 8 miracles, 8. That's one explanation to the machlokes. V'chanoma, and the other shita says we have a different reason to explain it. Taima de Beis Shammai keneged Pri Hachag. The reason that Beis Shammai says you go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is Beis Shammai analogizes this to Sukkot. Sukkot, on day 1 of Sukkot, 13 bulls were slaughtered. On day 2, 12. On day 3, 11. It went 12, 11, it went 13, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. And from there, Beis Shammai says the way to light Neighbor's Hanukkah is 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What does Hanukkah have to do with Sukkot? We mentioned this in the last year, and we'll be there to talk about it on Yom Rishon. But that's where the Beis Shammai gets their logic from. The time of Beis Hillel, and Beis Hillel says, no, the Mailam HaKodesh Ve'emo reading, there's a rule in the whole Torah that you go up. When you do a mitzvah, you go up. Don't go downwards when you do a mitzvah. We gave examples to that. And this is, by the way, a biblical law. Mailam HaKodesh Ve'lo reading. You go up, you don't go down. We gave an example about Tefillin Shel Rosh, Tefillin Shel Yad. We have other examples. So there are 2 Amoraim in Eretz Yisrael, and each of them gives different reasons for the dispute between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. One says this dispute is about how to publicize the miracle. Beis Shammai says the best way to publicize the miracle is to announce night 1. There are 8 miracles going to happen to the Jewish people. And on night 8 to say there's 1 miracle left. Beis Hillel says the best way to publicize the miracle is, so to speak, like living through it. Tonight is night 1 of the miracle. Night 4 is the 4th night of the miracle. Night 8 is the 8th night of the miracle. One way to learn the machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. The other way to learn the machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is Beis Shammai says, let's look at the way the bulls were slaughtered on Sukkot. They went 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. That's why I want you to light Hanukkah candles 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beis Hillel says, no. The reason is you have to be Mailam HaKodesh. You don't do a mitzvah going downwards. You do a mitzvah going upwards. Then why were the bulls in the Beis HaMikdash brought 13, 12, 11? We'll talk about that Bli Neder on Monday. So there on Sunday. So there are 2 separate reasons why there's a machlekes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. The Gemara now says, Omar Rabba Baba Chana. This is really an amazing piece of Gemara, the next 2 lines. And we're going to have to explain it on Sunday because we know that when there's a machlokes Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, the halacha is like Beis Hillel, with very few exceptions. And once the halacha is like Beis Hillel, is someone allowed to go off and follow Beis Shammai?
No.
No. If you learn the first perek in Masechta Brachos, there's a machlokes about how to read Kriya Shema. Beis Shammai says that from the words b'shachbacha u'v'kumecha, laying down and standing up, Beis Shammai says the Kriya Shema you read at night, you have to be laying down when you read Kriya Shema at night. B'shachbacha. And when you read Kriya Shema in the morning, you have to be standing up. B'kumecha. Beis Hillel says, nothing doing. B'shachbacha v'kumecha, it says, v'lechtecha v'derech, when you're walking. B'shachbacha v'kumecha doesn't mean laying position, standing position. It means when you go to sleep and when you wake up. That's all it means. It means when you're going to get ready to go to sleep, nighttime you read Kriya Shema. And when you're going to get up in the morning, you're going to be able to, you have to read Kriya Shema again. So b'shachbacha v'kumecha does not mean the position of your body, it means the time of day. Amar Rebbe Tarfon. Rabbi Tarfon tells a story about himself in the first parak of Brachos. I was once walking on a highway, on a road, and it came nighttime. And I lay down on the side of the road to read Kriya Shema, like Beis Shammai says, which is not a smart thing. In those days, it's dark, and a Jewish man is walking by himself on the road. What you do is you walk fast and you get home. And if you have to read Kriya Shema, you read Kriya Shema while you're walking. Rabbi Tarfon lays down on the road because he wants to do the Shita Beis Shammai. Kriya Shema at night, B'shach B'cha, I'm going to lay down. And Rabbi Tarfon says, Sikanti ba'atzmi. It wasn't the best idea, Rabbi Tarfon says, because in fact, my life was in danger. Whatever happened to him. And he escaped it. When he told the story to the Chachamim said, you think you're such a smart person? Had you been killed by these bandits, you would have been responsible for your own death. You didn't do a smart thing here. She'avarta al divrei Beis Hillel. You went against Beis Hillel. You're not allowed to go. I want to be machma like Beis Shammai. You're allowed to be machma like Beis Shammai. That's a very, very big sugya. But what did you do here? Why did you endanger your life by laying down b'shach b'cha when Beis Hillel says you don't have to do that? And if you would have died because the bandits would have killed you, you would have been responsible for your own death. So now we have a very strange Gemara here. Amar Rabba Bachana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabba Bachana said the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Shnei Sekenim Hayu B'Tzidan. There were two elderly Jews. Sekenim usually means respectable Talmidei Chachamim, older Jews, that lived in Sidon. Echad Asa K'Beis Shammai, ve'echad Asa K'Beis Hillel. They were both living in Sidon. One of them lit Hanukkah candles like Beis Shammai, 8765431, and one of them lit like Beis Hillel, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How is that possible? How is a person lighting 8764321 like Beis Shammai if the halacha is like Beis Hillel? How does that happen? We're going to deal with that on Sunday. The person who lit like Beis Shammai 8764321, they asked him, what are you doing? Why are you doing 87? They didn't ask him, why are you following Beis Shammai? They asked him, why did you go 8764321 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4? And he said, you know why? Because I like Hanukkah candles the same way the bulls were brought in the Beis Hamikdash. Bulls were brought 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7 on Sukkot. I also like Hanukkah candles in a descending order. And then they asked the other elderly Yid in Sidon, why do you like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? He said, because the proper way to do a mitzvah is you go ascending up, not descending. So you see that the machlokes, Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, according to this, is 8764321 to analogize it to the bulls of Sukkot, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because of Mailam Bakodesh mitzvahs go in an ascending order. Not to forget that there's another shita, and that shita says the reason for the dispute between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, Beis Shammai says the bigger Parsume Nissa is to do the 8, 7, 6, announce how many miracles are coming, and Beis Hillel says we do miracle by miracle each night. So again, you have two reasons why Beis Hillel says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because you ascend the mitzvah, or because you want to commemorate the miracles as they happen. Beis Shammai says you do 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in descending order because I analogize it to the bulls of Sukkot, or because I want to make my Pasume Nissa in a way that 8 miracles happen, 7 miracles happen. So each sheet of Beis Shammai still have two different reasons. We'll take a look at why someone in Sidon is lighting 8764321 against Beis Hillel, which l'chayva you're not allowed to do. We'll take a look at it on Monday, and then we're going to continue with the Gemara. So right now we're learning a lot of halachas of Hanukkah. The oils and the wicks that you can't use on Shabbos, can you use it on Hanukkah? How long does the Hanukkah licht have to last? What happens if it blows out or have to relight it? We learned about, do you go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We learned a lot of Hilchas Hanukkah already. But nobody knows what Hanukkah is. In a couple of lines, the Gemara is going to say, my Hanukkah. What's Hanukkah? I don't even know what Hanukkah is. Hanukkah does not have a book in the Kisvei Kodesh. Hanukkah occurred approximately 200 years or so into the second Beis HaMikdash. 40 years into the second Beis HaMikdash, give or take a couple of years, there are no Nevi'im. 40 years into the second Beis HaMikdash, there are no Nevi'im. The last Manafi is Malachi. About 160, 180 years after there are no Nevi'im, Hanukkah happens. There's no Navi to write a book. There's no one to write a book. There's nowhere to go to find the story of Hanukkah, except if Megillas Tainus or we have Masechta, the Gemara in Shabbos. So it's very interesting. We've been now learning for about 2 weeks all kinds of Hilchas Hanukkah. And then the Gemara pops up and says, oh, by the way, now that we've been studying Hanukkah for 2 weeks, my Hanukkah, what is this thing Hanukkah that we're celebrating? That's an interesting thing, the way the Gemara flows in its order.